Jai Hind everyone, I am Himanshu Tripathi and today I am going to explain a very interesting topic in the domain of design thinking. Design thinking is the subject as an open elective we are running here. The topic is that tools for the critical thinking. So today we are going to see some tools which we can use in the domain of critical thinking. So this is the overview of today's session. We will discuss what is critical thinking first. We will try to understand the critical thinking and comparing critical thinking with the ordinary way of thinking, and we will see that how we can use the multiple tools in the domain of critical thinking to make sure that we are implementing the concept of critical thinking in our projects or in our daily life decisions. So, we are going to start with the very basic definition of critical thinking. So, if we have to define the critical thinking, I can say that we need to think that we need to imagine that we are a detective who is investigating any mystery. So, as a detective, when we are into the investigation process, we need to see or we need to go deep into the every possible detail, or in other words, I should say that we need to understand that every information, every piece of information may be a potential clue which can help us in solving that particular mystery. So, this is the basic of the critical thinking approach. So, if we want to become a critical thinker or we want to implement the critical thinking skills in our day-to-day decisions or in our some complex decisions, we need to think logically, we need to analyze all the available information, and we need to have some independent opinion regarding the way that we are going to solve that particular problem. So, this is the very basic definition of critical thinking. If I have to mention the definition part here, the ability to think logically, analytically and independently to make the reasoned decisions and solve the problems effectively. So, this is all about the critical thinking that I want to mention in today's session. So, the next thing is, we now understood that what is the critical thinking. We need to know what are the core elements of this critical thinking process, so that when we want to apply this critical thinking process, we can easily do that. So, here I am mentioning only the 4 elements of critical thinking process. The first element is we need to question the assumptions. We all are having multiple assumptions, or we should say that the preconditioning in some cases. So, we need to ask questions about those existing assumptions or the preconditionings. So, this is very important to become a critical thinker. A simple question is or the core question behind this philosophy is that do we truly understand the problem? If we want to understand the problem in complete comprehensive way, we need to ask the questions related to our assumptions, because if we are into our assumptions, then it will be very difficult to get the right or the most effective solution of that particular problem. The second core element of the critical thinking concept is the evaluating evidence. So, when I am talking about evaluating evidence, I need to say that what data and the facts are available which are supporting our decisions. We need to analyze that piece of information. You can also say that we need to become the data detective in that particular process. The third core element is considering the alternatives. So, when I am saying that we need to consider the alternatives, that means we need to be open-minded person for that particular case. Are there any other ways possible or there any other ways or approaches possible to solve that particular problem? We need to think about that. This is very important aspect in the case of critical thinking. Fourth element of the critical thinking is the logical reasoning. So, we need to think logically, whatever the piece of information, whatever the information which is coming in front of us, we need to understand the logic behind that information. We need to be able to understand the truthfulness or the validity of that particular information. So, these are few core elements of the critical thinking process. On the basis of this, we will evaluate the further things in our discussion. So if we have to discriminate between the critical thinking and the ordinary way of thinking, so for that particular purpose, I have a question on the screen. How do you decide which route to take when you are driving to the work? So there may be two possible ways, or there may be two possible answers at this particular moment. The first answer is basically representing the ordinary way of thinking, and this answer is that I just take the same route I always take. It's faster for me because I know it well and I don't think much about it unless there is a problem. So this is the ordinary way of thinking, and I'm sure most of us will be following, or at least I used to follow this way of thinking when I am facing this particular question. But if a critical thinker is uh, facing this the same question, then second answer is going to be more appropriate in that case. So in the second answer, the thinker or the person will collect the data, collect the information using the Google Maps or other resources. It will he or she will analyze that particular information, and on the basis of that information, he or she will decide that which way or which route is faster, and which route should be taken for this particular problem. The second question for the same case or for the same context is, what do you do when you hear a rumor about a friend? So the question seems to be same, but here both questions are very much different. The first question that we were discussing earlier was basically related to a very short term goal, but the second question is basically related to a longer term goal. So if you want to retain your friendship with your friend, then this question is very much important for all of us, that what do you do when you hear a rumor about a friend? So here again I represented the two possible answers. The first answer is coming from the ordinary way of thinking, and the second answer is coming from the critical thinking approach. So here I should say that we need to adopt the critical thinking approach when we are trying to find the answer of this particular question. Here the main point that I want to make is that there are so many questions in our day to day life. We need to find out, or we need to decide that for answering which particular question we need to adopt the critical thinking approach. Otherwise, I am not advising all of you here that for the daily task or for very short term goals, you need to spend so much of time, so much of energy, so much of resources to apply the critical thinking, because for applying the critical thinking we need data, we need analytics, we need so many of other things. So this is the main difference between the critical thinking and the ordinary way of thinking. The major point or the bullet point here is that if we are facing a problem, we are trying to solve a problem which is having a long term impact on our life, then we should definitely or certainly adopt the critical way of thinking. And if the problem that we are looking at, or if the question that we are going to solve or answer is not having long term effect or the impact on our life, then it is always recommended to go with the ordinary way of thinking. So the next thing is, the main topic of today's session is the tools for the critical thinking. Here you can see that I have mentioned 5 different tools. These tools are SWOT analysis, mind mapping techniques, cost benefit analysis, the 5 whys, and the 6 thinking hats. All of these tools are very powerful, and some are a little bit complex, and I recommend to use those tools for solving the complex problems. But some tools are very simple in nature. You can easily go with those tools when you are solving less important problem comparatively, right? So the first tool I quickly try to mention is here the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis means we need to analyze 4 different parameters related to the problem that we are going to solve, and these parameters are the strength, weakness, opportunities, and the threats. So these are the 4 parameters, and we can make a graph or make a picture like this in our notepad or in our paper, and here every quadrant is basically dedicated to a particular parameter, that is SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. We can mention the core strengths that we are having, we can mention the weaknesses or the areas where we need to work more, so that these are the weakness at this particular moment. And we can also mention the opportunities. Opportunities are the guiding factors. What are the possible benefits that we are going to have if we will solve that particular problem? So opportunities are the benefits, like why we want to do this task or why we want to solve that particular problem. And the last one is the threats. Threats means what may be the unknown things, like we are not sure about that at this particular moment, but yes, they may be possible, they may be having possible impact when we are going to solve that particular problem. So here I have mentioned one very simple example with some possible strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and the threats. And that example is basically when a company is considering launching a new product, especially into the environmental friendly category, then how that company or how the manager or the appropriate professional of that company can perform the SWOT analysis in this case. The next tool that is very interesting is the mind mapping tool. So the first thing and the very important thing is that mind mapping tool is a visual way of organizing the information. As we have seen in our previous slide, that was the SWOT analysis. In this slide, this is not the visual way of analyzing the problem. This is not the visual way basically. Here we have to write the things into the format of text, and then we need to analyze each strength, weakness, opportunities and threats. But if I am talking about the mind mapping, mind mapping is a visual way of organizing the information. So this tool you can use as a critical thinker, but yes, you can use this tool in brainstorming sessions as well. This is a very powerful tool for brainstorming as well. So mind mapping basically helps us in breaking down the ideas into the smaller and the more manageable pieces. For example, I have taken one topic, that is the healthy habits, and if I am alone or I may be working in a team, I can discuss this healthy habits topic with our team or among the team, and we may have many single words or many small phrases or the words like nutrition or exercise, mental health, hygiene or the social well-being. And under each category we may have multiple factors which can impact that particular phrase or that can impact the particular thing in there. So here in the black window you can see this is a simple mind map tool that I tried to create. But yes, if you are seriously engaged in some kind of discussion or the brainstorming session, or you are seriously looking out for a problem, solution of the problem, then you can use this mind mapping tool here. The next tool of our discussion is the cost benefit analysis. This is the simplest way possible that we can basically start the journey of being a critical thinker. This cost benefit analysis basically motivates us to find out the cost or the investment that we are going to make when we are trying to solve a problem and we are trying to answer a particular question. And the benefit basically indicates what are the potential or the possible benefits that we can get. And you can say this is a typical, this is a typical balance kind of structure. If you find that cost is on higher side and benefits is on lower side, then you need to think it again, because you are putting so much efforts or some extra efforts, and in return you may not be able to get the potential benefits. But yes, if the benefits are more than the cost, then the answer should be yes, we need to certainly go for that particular answer, because it is having more benefits than the cost involved. So if we talk about cost benefit analysis more, then cost benefit analysis is a decision making tool, and this tool helps us in comparing the cost here. I already mentioned that what you will have to give up to achieve that particular thing, and the benefits that what you will gain when you are basically doing that particular thing. By looking at both the sides, we can easily decide the benefits or cost. Whichever is overweighing, that means we need to think or we need to get our solution as per that particular answer. This is a very simple process that we need to identify the cost, we need to identify the benefits, and here we need to compare both of them so that we can easily get the benefits of that particular problem. So, for example, here for the student purpose, I have taken one very simple example that if you have to devote one extra hour in your study. So, if you have to decide whether it is useful or whether you have to devote one additional hour in your study. For example, if you are devoting 2 hours daily, and now today there is a requirement that you have to devote 3 hours. So, whether you should devote one additional hour or not. So, if we talk about the cost involves two parameters here in my case, that you may lose 1 hour of free time, and the another thing is that you might be getting tired after studying longer than the usual, that is not your usual or the daily routine. But if we talk about the benefits, if we are going to devote one additional hour, so as we are talking about the benefit, that means it will improve the understanding of the subject, higher chances of doing better in the examinations will become, and we will feel less stressful in the long run because we are already prepared for that particular topic. So, in my case, if I have to select whether we need to decide, we need to devote one additional hour. So, benefits are certainly more than the cost. So, I will go with the one additional hour. The next tool is the 5 whys, and this is certainly a very powerful tool. I have so many times used this particular tool when I have to understand the root cause of any particular problem. So, the 5 why is a simple technique which is used to find the root cause of a problem. So, it is very important to get the root cause of the problem. The simple procedure is then whenever any question is basically appearing in front of us, we need to add why in front of that question. So, for example, if a question is that I failed to submit assignment on time, so I need to understand why I failed to submit the assignment on time. For that purpose, I am putting first why in front of my question, why I am failing to submit assignment on time. So, the answer may be, for your reference, I have basically put some answers. I keep procrastinating and leaving things until the last time. That may be the potential reason for the delay in the assignment submission. So, again, you can see that in front of the answer, I am again putting a why, that why it has happened. So, why I am procrastinating. So, the next answer may be I feel overwhelmed by the amount of work that I have to do. I have so many of the things that I need to do. So, again I am putting why this is happening to me, why I am having so many of tasks with me. So, why do I feel overwhelmed? Because I am not breaking my task into the smaller or the manageable parts. That may be one potential reason for which I am feeling the overwhelmed. So, again I am putting why in front of this, then why I am not breaking task into the smaller parts. The answer may be I haven't planned out my time, or I am not using any schedule, or I have not set any schedule for completing my work. So, again I am putting one why, and this will become a new question, that why I haven't planned my time or set a schedule. The answer is that I am not organizing my week in advance, or it may be that I am not using any planner or calendar or similar kind of to-do management tools. So, the root cause of the problem why I haven't submitted the assignment on time is basically here that I am not organizing my work using a scheduler or the planner or similar kind of tool, right. So, this has been seen that if we continuously putting why in front of the question, then certainly it will after putting 5 times, after doing 5 times this kind of exercise, we may get up to a root cause, we may reach up to the root cause of that particular problem. So, this was the 5 why techniques. The next technique is the 6 thinking hats. You can basically think about or relate this technique as a game or an activity that you can play among your friend or among your team members. So if we are talking about the 6 thinking hats, it was a technique which was developed by the Edward de Bono to approach the problem or decision from multiple perspectives, right? So here in this technique, we are having 6 different hats, and all the hats are of the different color. So you can see that all the hats are also significant, or basically signifying a particular thing. Like white hat is signifying the facts and the information, red hat is signifying the emotions and feelings, black one is for caution and potential problems, yellow one is for positivity and benefits, green one is for creativity and on new ideas, and the blue one is for organizing and thinking process. So what we can do, how we can play this game, if we are alone or a standalone, we want to play this game, we can mentally wear these hats one by one. So if I am wearing the white hat at a particular time, then I will focus only on the facts and information. If I am wearing a green hat at a particular time, then I will only focus about the creativity and the new ideas to solve that particular problem. Or if you want to get multiple perspectives involved in this approach or in this game, you can play this game with multiple people, and every person will wear one hat at a time, and every person will think according to the perception of that hat at that particular time. So guys, this was the introduction or the summary of tools that we can use for becoming a creative thinker, and I wish that you'll soon start thinking creatively onwards or after listening this session. Jai Hind and keep learning.